What's up, everybody? Welcome to Campus Cuts. I'm your host, Tanaka Tava, and Campus Cuts is a multicultural, intergenerational show that brings entrepreneurs, students, athletes, community members from all walks of life to chop it up in the virtual barbershop. Today, I have a special guest. I have a dear friend, a creative artist, somebody that is utilizing his creativity, his art form, acting, writing, producing, songwriting, the way that he continues to live his exclusive truth. Man, I'm an admirer of his work and somebody that I just look up to in his collegiate career, both in terms of student government, student activities, and after that, jumping into who he is and who he is as a person. A friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, introduced me to him, talks highly about him, and ever since then, we've clicked. He doesn't answer his phone, though, but it's okay because I know that he's always doing the great work. Shout out to my guy, Reuben Beckett. Welcome to the show, bro. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's really great to be here. I love what you're doing, and I'm just glad that we can finally do this, you know?
Yes, bro. No, thank you. I received that, bro. I received that so much. But man, this is a long time coming. People don't understand.
A long time. Ever since I first saw that you were, trying to have this sort of conversation, I've wanted to be on your channel. And so, yeah, it's good to be here.
It's good to be here. And also, it's really good because, it's like, you and I, we've talked about this. Being creatives, being Black creatives and seeing who we look up to, Trevor Noah, Dave Chappelle, Gambino, and all these great people who have utilized their platform and using the entertainment space. It's like, hey, we're doing it right now, even at no matter what scale, whether it's considered a small scale, but I don't even consider this a small scale because most people don't have the confidence or the ability to put themselves out there, both on the stage, both in film and entertainment, and even through this. Like, people don't have that. And so, like, the fact that we're doing this and we're actively going after who we even see and we're following their footsteps is pretty wild.
I would agree with you. It's really nice that we live in a time where that's even possible. Because even though there's barriers for entry, for specific groups of people, we do live in a time where Childish Gambino exists, and like Donald Glover can make a show and be a musician, and that's unique. That's the first time ever in this country, and I think we're lucky for it. We're lucky for the opportunity to be in this environment.
Absolutely, man. And you don't never take it for granted. Never take it for granted because, people back in the day, and I bet you've heard this too. You and I have both been told, oh, you do too much, like you're doing too much or you're all over the place or anything like that, right?
Well, there is something to be said about how easy it is to burn out. I don't know if you have friends at Baylor, but at SMU, there's people are dropping left and right because they're being pulled in too many directions. And our economy, the way it works, everybody's asking a lot for time and energy and money. So it is a tricky, it's a tightrope you have to walk between overworking yourself and underworking yourself,
Right. Absolutely, bro. But man, before we really dive into this, and I just really want to definitely have this conversation, is introduce yourself. I introduced you, but I mean, of course, you can introduce yourself better. So what is your name, your year, and where are you from? We dive in.
Sure. My name is Reuben Beckett. I'm a 2021 graduate of Southern Methodist University in Dallas. And my current occupation, I'm working on campus as a conference service assistant, which is sort of in the admin department, and my hometown is Lusaka, Zambia in Southern Africa.
Okay. Shout out to South Africa, Zambia and Zimbabwe represent, You
got to do it. It's crazy to think like there's so few people from our countries who live in this metroplex. So whenever you find someone from Zambia and Zimbabwe, you want to hold on because it's rough out there alone.
Right. Absolutely. You're so right, bro. You're so right. So talk about that experience of being like, a first generation American, like, becoming an immigrant. And of course, what most people don't know, your dad is a very a very important person, somebody that's been, you know, in the political game and all that stuff. And talk about that journey and how that was living up to this moment right now.
You know, I've been really lucky because I had parents who, at every step of the way, made it really easy for me to adjust. I think when you're immigrating anywhere, adjusting is the thing that takes the most effort, because everybody talks differently, walks differently, and cares about different things. So yeah, I think I was lucky compared to a lot of people who try to enter this country. And I'm better off as a person for having experienced both my home culture and like American culture fully, you know? Yeah.
Also, go a little bit deeper into that. Like, how has that made you more aware, more like a better person, as you say?
Well, again, I don't know if better person is the right way to describe it, because like, you know, what is a good person?
Facts.
But
you go on a good dough on that one.
Yeah, we want to go down that rabbit hole. I think that, I don't know, being in Zambia is such a different experience than being in Dallas, Texas. What the food that people eat, the way people work, the way that political situations work out, you know. And it would take me the rest of our time together to fully describe how different everything is.
Right.
But just being able to say, this is one way of doing things, this is another way of doing things, gives you perspective, you know, in any scenario, especially when you're looking at American politics. We've really had an interesting couple of years, right? With the Republican president and now a Democratic president. It's a big shift happening all very quickly. And to be able to say like, okay, this is happening here, but in Zambia, this is how things happen, makes it, I guess, easier to sometimes understand what's going on in our political structure.
Right. And then also like just understanding that how, like, you know, us having that more worldly perspective. It's not saying that we're better or anybody thinks, okay, hey, because it just gives us a little bit of a broader understanding of like, you know, sometimes when you see, you know, the States and we're looking at what is happening or what is occurring, and then people are like, what do you think about it? I'm like, well, sometimes my home country is some boo-boo right now, or like, you know, or we had to fight to be able to get to where we were against, you know, like different regimes and different other entities that were colonial
outside forces.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so now it's just really quite interesting to see like that dynamic. And of course, now we're moving more towards a globalization economy where everything's becoming more interconnected, more mesh networks, and more trade and more commerce. But we're seeing that, hey, if like now we're living in a time where if one area or one person is hurting, like, you know, the United States dollar has now, it's like, if nobody knows, the United States dollar is now taken off as the Fed notes by the Russian government. That dramatically has shifted, and we're seeing like the rise of cryptocurrencies and the rise of coins and all that stuff. And it's like, bro, it feels like a video game.
You know, it really does sometimes feel like a video game. And that's a shout out to video game designers everywhere. Like, they've really defined our generation. Like, so much of the storytelling that I do right now, even in theater and film, has been derived from the amount of time I spent playing video games. But yeah, like it's gnar. It's crazy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. And now, bro, now that's to that pivot point, bro. Like, you know, you are in film, you are in theater, but I mean, before then, like, you were like, what were you before you changed that in your freshman year at SMU? What was your major previously?
So going into SMU, I always knew I was doing theater. I thought about maybe double majoring with a philosophy degree, because I was heavily involved in like debate type stuff, so it made sense. But there just wasn't time, if I'm being honest, to really get into the theater the way that I wanted to and have a whole other major. So that changed sophomore year.
Right. But now talk about it, like, what was your first experience of being able to go into the theater? Like you said you always knew before SMU, but like talk about the first time of you stepping into that realm of acting and creativity and art.
Yeah, so it's a crazy story. There was a talent show at my school when I lived in Lusaka, and me and a couple of homies, we used to like get together and we'd make little rap music things, right? In on GarageBand on somebody's Mac. There was never any intention to, take it anywhere other than to a talent show with all of our friends.
Right.
And I think because my first interactions with art were so wholesome, it's been easy to remember why I do what I do. Even as theaters shut down all across the country and film production stopped, like I knew that at some point we're gonna get back to it. The theater people, we're not just gonna go away,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. And of course, man, like, the theater is opening. The things are opening up again. Man, but like, talk about the pandemic, bro. The pandemic, bro. Like, it's been more than a year since it came through. Like, how was that navigating that year? Like it's our junior year. It's just like, especially when you're at the height, because you were casted in the show, like things were moving.
Yeah. It wasn't a pleasant experience, I'll tell you that. It felt like all the things that I was setting up were sort of having to change very quickly, and adjusting was hard. But I think I'm a better person for it, and a lot of people had it worse. Theater shutting down is just a small part of the anguish that was really that really defined last year. I feel like there was just a lot of pain.
Reuben? No, he cut out. I'm going to take a 30-second commercial break as we get connected back to the Wi-Fi. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
It's a little in and out, but for the most part.
Okay, so you were saying that like one before you cut out, you were saying how theater was like one of the last things that the least things that you could worry about, and
yeah, like the essential workers. If we're going to talk about anybody, the fact that so many people were able to serve their communities and serve all of us, like they're the people that deserve to be praised after all of this. The people that were in hospitals, people that helped everything keep going while we were stuck inside, because I can't even imagine how challenging it must have been logistically to change how we get groceries and to change how, you know what I mean? All those things changing at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Those people deserve trophies.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And people got to understand, like, hey, it wasn't until then that we really appreciate them now, right? And so now it's like, but as I think, everybody has a transformative moment in life where something traumatic or something crazy happens. And of course, in our human limbic system, we're like more likely to be appreciative and show like, okay, hey, this is who we are. Like, I'm so grateful. But as things go back to quote unquote normal, right? I feel like, it like just as humans, okay, we're going to forget about it and we're going to get comfortable again. And we're going to go, and it's like, I feel like they're just going to get overlooked, But I just really wish that there was like, this way of how we can continue to have more gratitude in our everyday life and gratitude for these people that continue to serve, because then, people, I guess like this pandemic has really humbled a lot of people, right? Jobs lost, and jobs cuts.
Tanaka, I feel like the solution, like statues and monuments, that's their purpose, is for us to build things that help us remember terrible things, there's a lot of debate politically about statues, but I feel like if we as a society can come back to the appreciation for artwork, that like things like statues and monuments, they're art that speak to society and speak to community. And I feel like this is where we as artists, this is our responsibility now to look at what has happened this last year and find ways to make sure that we don't forget as a society. We're like journalists in that sense. And some people really like to twist the facts, but we got to try and be objective.
Right, man. Right. And just, man, that's such a good point that you said right there. And especially us, like as a Gen Z generation, where everything just happens so fast. Like we so put fast. Like it's so hard to keep up. Like I don't care how privy or how it's so hard to keep up.
Just the software. Like I've never used this thing that we're using right now. I didn't even know it existed until you sent me this message. And it's like every day there's new software that we have to learn and master if we want to keep moving forward. And like the people who I really respect are the people who know coding languages like HTML and all that stuff, because like that's now the backbone of our society. If the internet stops, what's going to happen,
Right. Literally, we saw that happen like I think 2 weeks ago, where things were shut, like a cloud service got shut down because somebody pressed the wrong button. Shopify, Instagram, eBay, Amazon, like nobody could buy. It was like, oh wait, it was shut down for like an hour and everything stopped. Whoa.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I think that we should really be keeping an eye on the people who are in control of these things. Like I'm just a guy talking to you. I don't know anything about Facebook or Google or Uber, but I feel like we should really hold them accountable to make sure that they're not manipulating, our entire population with these applications in ways that are damaging. Because we saw with the siege at the Capitol, what can happen when a bunch of people get really riled up on the internet. And I think we got to be better about that. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting worse. Radicals everywhere, if they can use the internet in their advantage, that's a problem for us as a people.
Right. And I think one of a very interesting phenomenon about this is I'm not sure if you know, and you know me, bro, I'm in the software game, I'm in like the develop, right? So it's like so I stay up and I really think about this, because again, it's another expression, it's another art form, right? So there was this cat who created an app called Wombo, which is a deepfake application. So it's a deepfake singing application for people to sing and have fun, but you're literally manipulating faces and manipulating yourself, and you could actually act like people thought Tom Cruise was on TikTok, but he wasn't on TikTok. But it was some great deepfakes.
It's those things, like, and I've been scared of deepfakes for a long time, because if somebody gets your face in just the right angle, they can put you anywhere. You could be incriminated. You know what I mean? Like, that's scary.
Yes, bro. And in the rise of artificial intelligence, and of course, we've seen how they're going to start using it as for police enforcement and law enforcement. And we know as people of color, they're less likely to get the wrong images. They're more likely to get the wrong images and to incriminate the wrong person compared to, their white counterparts or our light-skinned counterparts, because they have a better matching with that, right? But again, who's the one building these artificial intelligence and graphing, right?
Exactly.
Hey, so sorry. And if you want to leave the show and you unsubscribe, we know that the most people that are in the software jobs happen to be the quote unquote majority in the country, when honestly they're really a minority in the world. But people don't talk about that.
Yeah, that is interesting. They're a tight knit group of people. Like, if you have that kind of knowledge, you want to speak with other people who have that knowledge. It's just basic, and maybe we need to rethink the way that we do elections and things like that. If everybody has a phone, why should there be issues with people getting their ballots? You know, there's things like that that seem basic that I would want to ask Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, but at the same time, like, they're dealing with things that we can't possibly imagine.
Yeah, like honestly, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw the New York Times report, and people were seeing how, like, they don't treat the workers well. I mean, if you're like, I mean, of course not, because you're basically treating them like robots. When you're like literally had demanded 2-day service, and then your whole economy gets wiped out because of a COVID. People got to work twice as hard. People are sick. Like, and it just thinks, and for me, it really makes me think. And of course, our generation, we're very more progressive, more human minded, more ethics based. Some of us. So it's like, all right, how is this going to damage the environment? Okay, what are these data centers doing to about the carbon emission and the mining and all that stuff? And it's like, all right, like, whoa, and we're being left with this, and it's like, whoa.
And these problems are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger as we build bigger and faster computers. We're going to have to, police it more and more. We just don't have the system set up for that right now. Like, how, other than Congress.
They're so slow. They're so slow.
Yeah.
Man, would you ever consider going back and playing in the arena, or you like no?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Would you ever go back and like put yourself in the political arena to create change? Because you went to Boise State, and you were.
Yeah, I mean, right now where I am, I wouldn't be any good to anybody as a politician. I think that it takes a level of charisma, like constant charisma, that I just don't have right now. And I respect politicians, but I just couldn't do that job. Not in the way things are right now. It's scary. I wouldn't want to be a politician.
Yeah. I remember I was young and I had dreams of becoming president. That changed at 11. That changed at 11. When I saw that 11.
The thing is, you can go back to Zimbabwe and be president there. Be the new Mugabe.
Bro, you saying that, and people that have been brainwashed by what the media over here says would have been like, oh, bro, you're crazy. But people don't know their history.
and I'm speaking obviously facetiously. Like, you don't want to become a dictator, but yeah. And isn't that interesting how, like, I feel like African politics aren't studied, at least when I was in high school here in America. I almost never heard anything about the history of African politics or colonial politics and imperialism, but it affects everything, the entire globe. The structure right now, I feel like, was set by that period, the transatlantic, and yet we hear so little. And in June, on Juneteenth of all days, I feel like it's something we should be asking our educators. Like, why are we still receiving so few hours in a classroom? We as a Black people, it just seems like a no-brainer that we would have fixed some of these problems by now.
Right. And it is Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday now, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess thanks, United States, for that.
Yeah, no, that's, thank you. That's a nice thing. Unfortunately, there's still serious problems with the way that our society treats African American people and people of color, that needs to be addressed. And making Juneteenth federal holiday doesn't fix it all the way,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
bro. It's just a band-aid. And
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, and sometimes, right, there's one side of me that's like, yes, progress. Oh no, there's one side of me that's like, bro, this doesn't mean anything. But
And
then
then,
also,
justice delayed is justice denied. That's
right,
from the king himself.
right. But then also the other side of me is like, hey, that is something, but also at the same time, it's just like a billionaire just giving to a philanthropy, because we know at the end of the day, a billionaire giving to charity is just a tax evasion.
But the thing about capitalism that I kind of admire is that people with money regularly give money to people without money, and they don't
Right.
have to.
They don't have to,
And
like, not at all.
our society would be so much worse if everybody just decided to start hoarding their money. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I only get to go to school at SMU because of charitable donations, because people want to give a voice to people of color in college, and I got scholarships in that same vein.
Right.
But yeah, like the fact that there even is such a vibrant philanthropy network, especially in Dallas, is something that we should be celebrating.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a good point. That is such a great point, because I know some people that are so anti-establishment that are just willing to say, just burn it all down. Doesn't matter. Like, people need to get taxed and whatever. It's like, it's a double-edged sword. And again, we have the privilege to even talk about this, or even to discuss bigger like ideas and philosophical and economics, or just like in society and culture, where we know that we know people back home, we know people in India, we know people who have family members that came from literal nothing, that are so like their Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like they're still in basic survival mode.
Exactly. And like the number of people in the world that don't have access to clean water, to food, to shelter, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense, because we have the resources. We could fix it today, you know? Like if we just got all the 100 richest people in the world in one room, we could fix it today. But that's something that I think will always frustrate me about our society, until it's fixed.
Do you think it'll ever get fixed?
Honestly, the fact that the United Nations exists is a great thing, and UNICEF, these organizations, they might be able to really end world hunger, and they want to, you know.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Who does know, man? But I mean, but I think despite all of this, this is the greatest time to be alive. I remember watching Gambino, Donald Glover's comedy special, Weirdo, and he was talking about, like, you know, he's having a conversation with his dad. His dad is like, "Oh man, this is the worst day to be alive. This is the worst time to be alive." And he's like, "Dad, this is the best time to be alive. Back in the day, people used to come pillage your country, take your woman, burn it every down, and you couldn't do anything about it. Now, like, you can't." Oh man!
But at the same time, isn't it crazy to think that in our countries, at least, and in Zambia and in Zimbabwe, that mayhem was happening in 1960,
right?
Not like in 1760,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So even though, like, I hear the point with the anecdote, but yeah, it's something else.
It is something else, man. But I mean, I still have no complaints, because I'm just like, man, I'm so grateful to be here. And of course, bro, like I know that, you know, you and I, we both go to a PWI, and I know people have had certain, like, you know, certain feelings about, like, especially being a person of color at a PWI and everything. Like, like, I mean, I'm speaking from my experience, and I think you share this sort of sentiment. It was a really great experience, at the fact, like, yes, we were aware of what was going on, but we still were able to at least be a build bridger between the two communities, and really just at least trying to actually have more of a global understanding. What do you say?
Yeah. No, I like that phrase, you know, bridge builder, like, because a lot of the issues that happen right now are due to a lack of communication. And if we can just continue to have conversations, hard conversations, as a country, then maybe we can actually fix problems. Um, and to have hard conversations, you need to have the same language. We need to be using the same words. Um, the fake news stuff gets in the way of that kind of discourse, you know, because if nobody knows what news is real and what news is fake, we can't even argue on the topics. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, it's a situation.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's so good. So good, bro. So good, man. I love this, bro. I mean, I love you so much, bro. Like such a chop up with an intellectual brother like you, man. Very,
Dude,
very smart guy.
I don't get to have conversations like this all the time, you know?
Really?
It's a rare occurrence that I can really sit down with somebody and go through, because you know, at least at my PWI, there is spaces that aren't very inviting to people who ask questions about establishment. Um, and I'm not knocking SMU. I love SMU, but there's spaces where I didn't feel entirely comfortable saying things like, oh, I think that we should reform the police system or the justice system. I'd get dirty looks. And I remember who and when. Um, and I'm not going to do anything about it. But like, yeah, I don't think that happened to somebody who went to Prairie View or Howard or Morehouse. And I think about that sometimes.
Right. And bro, like going a little bit deeper on that, how do you make sure that you don't get bitter or you don't get broken or you don't feel heavy after those instances, right? Especially as a Black man, of
Well,
course,
I
you know.
like to. I've thought about this a lot. You know, I feel like you're right on it. As a Black man, you have to have a way of being. So I'll give you an anecdote. The other day, I was at work, and I drive a golf cart around because that's the way the university works. And there was a woman who approached me, and she asked me if I was there to drive her from one building to another. She sort of assumed that I was a, a chauffeur of some kind, and I was, doing administrative work. Um, and it's those kinds of microaggressions that like are really difficult for me sometimes to not get bitter about. But I just remember that like that comes from a place of ignorance. Like people assuming that people of color can't have jobs that aren't driving them around. That's ignorance. And you can't be mad at somebody for not knowing stuff, because otherwise, like, where would we get? I feel like if I try and approach a situation with love, genuine, like, love for the other person, then maybe it won't happen again in the future. But if I come hostile and bitter, they're only going to double down on whatever prejudice they're, ruminating in.
Okay. That's good. That's good, bro.
So I,
That's
I
good.
just feel like if we really want people to stop being prejudiced and discriminatory, then we need to hear them and we need to talk to them. We can't just point and laugh and say, those people over there don't know what they're doing. That just causes division.
Right. Right. That's good. That's so good, bro. That is really good, bro. And I really loved how you put that. And, because and sometimes, it sucks being quote unquote the bigger person or being able to have that, that couth or that as my frat brother say couth, or at least that consideration and really just to really, your pride in the sense and of course, humble and like, it is a place of ignorance and how can we continue to facilitate this conversation where we can, have a better understanding. And honestly, like I was reading Adam Grant's an organizational psychologist from the University of Pennsylvania at Wharton School. And basically he said one of the key things in terms of relationships and communities and team building is that people assume that everything has been communicated correctly. And that is our greatest fault as humans. Like we assume that the communication has been there and everybody understands, but it's so much better and is more likely to understand when you ask, what are the takeaways? Oh, when you ask, hey, did you really understand what I mean? And how can we continue making sure that we have that? Because again, in a society where our attention has been for sale, where it's been commoditized, and where people have literally now have an attention span of 2 seconds, if we just want to continue to keep moving and keep moving faster. And we're having that lack of that lack of understanding, and which continues to bridge the divide even greater, right? How many times, because I mean, I love, and this is why I love doing what I do, especially with this, having these conversations, because, how many people do you know that you sit with for anywhere between 30 minutes to maybe possibly an hour and 30, 45 minutes, just you and someone else just talking, just chopping it up. And really,
like not on your phone, not watching a Netflix show at the corner of your eye, like actually talking to somebody. It's a rarity these days. And I think that's a problem. I don't know how we solve it, because we're all glued to our phones now. I'm glued to my phone. If I wasn't talking to you right now, I'd be on Instagram,
Right.
And I try and be good about it. I'll tell myself only 2 hours this week or whatever, but it's still 2 hours I could have spent reading a book.
Right.
So you'll never win in that game.
Right. And I mean, it's so hard because most of my work is on my phone, right? Like I'm texting on whatever, because literally, because if the phone's not even a phone, it's a supercomputer. It's a computer next to your head.
Dude, it is a supercomputer. Like the fact that I can watch film on my phone, that alone is such a huge leap in technology from the beginning, when guys were taking pictures of a horse over and over again. It's an art.
It's an art, man, and it's so beautiful, but also it's so dangerous, because I was telling my friends, yo, guys, TV is dead. What you mean, bro? Your phone is your TV. Next thing you know, of course, people are working tirelessly and hard to think, how can we, instead of getting the friction, as Elon Musk said, the friction of our mind, and even Zuckerberg too, they're literally spending money on spatial computing and
on UI, the user experience.
Yes.
And I think that it's beautiful that as a species we can now get to that level of specificity with our tools. I think that's we should have a celebration. We should all get together and have a big party just to say, hey, we have computers. That's pretty cool, guys. Those are the things that we should celebrate, instead of our political affiliations. We should find other things as people to celebrate.
Right. But also now with this, also with the responsibility of people trying to implant chips and try to get things literally from we want. I say in the next 10 years. I mean, I might be overreaching. I think it was going to be sooner. We won't have the phone as much. We're going to have a little click, the Black Mirror episode where they hit the
straight up.
Bro, it's gonna happen.
And I think that I'll be in that line when Apple has a new head device. I'll line up and I'll go along with it, because we have to do that as a species. We're explorers. We have to keep pushing boundaries and trying new things. And since the beginning, that's what we've been doing. And this is just the new frontier. The internet.
So you're gonna be in line? You're gonna be in line, bro? For real?
I'm gonna be in line. I'm gonna be. What else am I gonna do? Go hide under a rock?
Well, I mean, power to you, bro. I think I might. Hopefully, I'll be richer than I already am right now, and then hopefully I just get a ranch.
Did you ever think that self-driving cars would be here as soon as they are? Isn't that kind of remarkable? That in 10 years, Tesla's come from zero to,
Yeah, dude, literally. And also, I'm not sure you've seen the Domino's computer, the Domino's commercial, where the guy has can order the Domino's, and it's a self-driving car that delivered the Domino's.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be fun. The first time I get a pizza and a robot delivers it, I'm gonna take a picture of that for sure.
Bro, but then you know what? That kind of it's gonna be we're about to head into a Wall-E world, bro. We're about to head into
for
Wall-E
sure.
world.
It's literally Wall-E. And Wall-E's a good movie, Like, I don't mind if they got me a floating chair, you know. I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
Bro. And then after that, but it's so funny because you know why? Like it is because it's in the sense of I was talking with a friend and I'm like, man, bro, like the advertising industry, shout out Caleb, is so pervasive,
Shout
right?
out Caleb.
It's so pervasive. And it's like we got advertising from being at TV to literally advertising being in our face. Like it's just like you scrolling through Instagram, it's like, bro, it kind of takes you out the loop. It's like, bro, I don't want to see an
and more than it being in your face, it's like it's specific to you in a way that is scary. Like it knows things from different pools of data and it collects them and then gives like sometimes I sit down and I wonder how many different versions of one advertisement exist, because I get a lot of ads with people of color in them because I probably watch things that would indicate that I'm a person of color, right, on YouTube.
Right.
And I wonder if Pepsi's making an ad with black people and with white people, like what are they? How is this really going on? Like, the production is insane.
It's insane, but you got to appreciate the art of it because they be spending millions on it. And it's not bad advertisement. Like, okay, they really make it personalized and relevant for you to even have the psychology to even like go, okay, well, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, no, and like there's been so many times where I just ran out of toothpaste and like I get an ad for Crest. Like I don't even say anything. And my phone knows. That's what scares me. So I don't know. They're gonna have to slow down with that, you know. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, bro. But you know, time is coming to a close, and I gotta respect your time, bro. I know you got your appointment, but these are the last couple questions that I want to continue just to ask you, bro. So my first question for you is, are you happy?
Yeah. I can't say that I've always been happy, but right now I am. And I'm so glad that I had this opportunity to talk to you. It's been a great way to start the day. And yeah, I'm happy. Thank you for asking.
Oh, of course, man. Now, my second question for you is, what is something that you would like to see change in the United States?
I think I'd like to see minimum wage go up. As a young person, I know that a lot of my peers are working as hard as they can for 40, 50, sometimes even 60 hours a week, and they still can't make ends meet. And that just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like minimum wage should be a working, living wage. And all politics aside, I just feel like that should be a non-partisan issue. We should just be able to say people deserve to have a livelihood if they contribute 40 hours a week to our society, you know? Yeah, I think that's what I'll go with.
That's good, bro. That's good. The second to last question is, what are 3 things that you would tell to your 18-year-old self, bro?
Man, I'd tell him to learn a coding language, because that's the future. I tell him to save more money. And what's the last one? Yeah, I think I'll just tell him to relax. You know, things work out if they work out, and not to be so stressed out about making sure that everything's perfect, because life has shown us in this last year that like there is no definite way things are going. You just got to be able to roll with the punches. So yeah, I think that's what I would say. Roll with the punches.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a lot of wisdom in that. People, here, learn a coding language, save money, understand and trust the process, and roll with the punches. I think those are really, really, really applicable, especially in this day and age. And now my second to last question is, bro, my last question is, bro, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want people to be able to say that I was a kind person who cared about other people, and that I worked hard and I went after what I wanted. Yeah.
Incredible, bro. Man, so this is my last segment of the show. It's the Speak Life segment where I just speak life to my guest. You know, I'm a believer. I believe that in the Bible it says James 1 says life and death is spoken in the tongue. And people need to be encouraged nowadays because there's not a love of that. And I want to give you your flowers. Reuben, bro, the very first time I heard about you in high school from Sagar Shah. Shout out Sagar. He told me, Tanaka, bro, you and him are so similar. You and him are so alike, bro. You need to meet him. You need to meet him. You need to meet him. He was like, you need to meet him. And
that's
after
perfect, Sagar.
Bro, sorry, like, bro, love you, bro. I'm gonna get you on the pod soon too. Bro, like just your intellect, your ability to continue to create art that is a reflection of society, but also most importantly, a reflection of who you are and who you've been created to be. It's so incredible just to see how you have manifested and you've created living your truth. You are such a man of intelligence, a man of that's always a critical thinker, and somebody that is unafraid to be unapologetically himself. I've always grown to admire you, bro, and I'm so grateful for your talent and how you continue to steward that. And man, I'm just want to say I'm so proud of all the accomplishments that you've done, even despite what happened with COVID. Talent is undeniable, and I just pray that you just continue to keep on going and make sure that you do not let that light shine, not let that light go out into flames. It is important, and being as artists and us uplifting and holding and moving with each other, bro. It's been such a huge encouragement to see, like, man, bro, Reuben's getting it. He's doing the film. He's doing that. It's like I need to get on my stuff. I need to continue to. I need to keep going.
We all have our own timelines, but I'm all for moving together, Tanaka. We move together. And you know that you're my brother, and hopefully one day we'll be doing this again, and you'll have a studio in New York. You know, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
Studio in New York or LA, bro. I mean, I'm going to LA. I don't know who else. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, bro. But I'm such a huge fan of you, bro. I love you, man, and I'm so grateful. And thank you again for taking your time and spending time with me for just to be able to chop it up and be able to have for people to listen to a good conversation, to think, to consider, to laugh, man. And bro, I love you, man, and I just want to keep going, bro. You always know I'm a call or text away, even though you don't answer your phone. It's okay because I know you're out there working, bro. I know, hey, bro. But those are your flowers, bro. Those are your flowers, man.
What?
I said those are your flowers, bro. I just wanted to give you your flowers.
Thank you for those flowers. Thank you for those. Really, you touched me. Thank you. I you know, I'm speechless. Talk soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Where can the people find you at?
On Instagram, ReuBeckett. Reuben Beckett. That's it.
Reuben Beckett. Hey, make sure y'all listen to his songs on SoundCloud too. And also make sure when you go follow his Instagram, The Kitchen Never Sleeps, TKNS. You know what I'm saying?
TKNS.
Yeah, Kitchen Never Sleeps. All right, y'all, and we are out.